Alright, the Champions League is back. Match day 5 of the 2025-26 UEFA Champions League. Let's go with the preview, guys. Here are the 5 standout matches that I'm going to be looking forward to the most this weekend. And we're going to start in France, where Marseille take on Newcastle United. Newcastle have been fantastic in the Champions League this season. They have 3 wins in a row. Marseille, meanwhile, they've been a bit hit and miss, mainly miss so far. 3 losses and 1 victory to their name. They're not a bad team overall. But I think Newcastle overall, with how they've been playing, I think they'll probably just have a bit too much for them. Harvey Barnes, of course, has been excellent in recent weeks, and he fired a brace in to allow them to beat Manchester City in the Premier League. Now, Newcastle have been a lot better at home than away from home, and their only away trip so far this season has been to Union Saint-Gilloise of Belgium, who were a decent team, but you expect Newcastle to win. However, Newcastle won very well, so I think they're going to have just about enough to overcome OM in this game. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to the Toon. And let's head to the capital of England next, London, where of course Chelsea are taking on Barcelona in one of the highlight fixtures of this week's games in the UEFA Champions League. Admittedly, there's a lot of these games, to be fair. There are a lot of really big games between huge teams in Europe this midweek. And another Tuesday game at 8 PM is Chelsea against Barcelona. Now, Chelsea have just gone up to second place in the Premier League, albeit 6 points behind Arsenal. Now, in the Prem, they've been pretty good, but in the Champions League, they've been very worrying. They dropped points against FC Karabag in their previous game. And yes, they do have 2 victories to their name so far, both at home, but against an Ajax and Benfica side that are currently propping up the UEFA Champions League table. They've lost all 4 of their matches. That's not really saying much. Barcelona, of course, recently returned to the Camp Nou, but they are not going to be playing there this game. They're going to be over at Stamford Bridge. They're in the hunt for the La Liga title, of course, as you'd expect, 1 point behind Real Madrid. And they beat Athletic Club in that first game back at their normal stadium, 4-0 at the weekend. So they're riding high at the moment. I've just got a funny feeling though with Chelsea. They seem to play better against the better teams for the most part. So I'm going to go for them to get a draw. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be Desmond. 2-2. And we have another big game, this time on Wednesday night, where Atletico de Madrid take on Internazionale Milano. Inter Milan to me and you. Inter have, of course, had a perfect record so far in the Champions League, winning all 4 of their opening games. Only Arsenal and Bayern Munich have done that as well. And of course, Bayern play against Arsenal this midweek as well, so one of them is going to drop points at least. More on them very soon. Atletico, meanwhile, they've not been too great. I mean, they've picked up a couple wins, but they've had a couple losses, albeit one of those losses against Liverpool. But how do you grade that? Because Liverpool have been very hit and miss. I don't know. Either way, Atletico, they're not having the best season overall. They've been okay in the Champions League, you must say. They are up in 4th in La Liga. They've really recovered recently, and they're in a good run of form. They beat their local rivals Getafe in the weekend fixture in La Liga as well. So how is this one going to go? Well, honestly, with how good Inter Milan have been, I'm going to go for them to get a win. I think the Italian Giants are going to keep that winning run going. They're going to get 5 wins from 5 to open their account in the Champions League. Could they win the Champions League? They were finalists last year, of course. So I think that we're going to see a win for Inter. I'm going to go with a very Italian 1-0 to the Nerazzurri in this game. So I'll give a little mention to it there. At the Emirates, we've got a massive game. First against second in the Champions League, Arsenal against Bayern Munich. Arsenal have not conceded a goal in the Champions League so far. They both have perfect records, do Bayern and Arsenal. Bayern, of course, had a very eventful game against PSG last time out, but they beat the European champions away from home in the end. And I think they were down to 10 men for a good portion of that one too, unless I am mistaken. So they are playing really well. Bayern have won every game they've played so far this season. I think they still have. Yeah, they beat Freiburg 6-2 at the weekend in the Bundesliga. So they are going to take some beating in this one. We've got the unstoppable force against the immovable object. So what's going to happen? Well, what's going to happen to me is I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 in this game. Harry Kane to probably score, of course, the Tottenham Hotspur legend, scoring against his ex-North London rivals there. So I'm going to go for that. I think it's going to be a great match, though. I'm really looking forward to that one. Either one could easily win it, of course. Paris Saint-Germain against Tottenham Hotspur is the next one I'm going to preview, though. Spurs are unbeaten in the Champions League so far this season, and they're only 1 point behind PSG, who had a perfect record of 3 wins from 3 before they came up against Bayern Munich, like I just mentioned. This, of course, is a replay of the UEFA Super Cup, where PSG came out on top. I believe it was on penalties in the end against Spurs. Spurs, of course, lost at the weekend, but it was against Arsenal, but it was a heavy defeat of 4-1, despite Richarlison's wonder goal. PSG, meanwhile, of course, they won at the weekend. Of course, they are top of Ligue 1, which is kind of what you expect, really. Only by 2 points ahead of Marseille and Lens, of course, but still, they're a good team. They're the defending European champions, and they gave Bayern a good game as well. So I think overall they're going to have too much for Spurs. I'm going to go for Spurs to lose again by 3-1. Yeah, those are the 5 matches I'm looking forward to most, guys. Get your predictions in the comments below. I want to hear what you have to say as always. Like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, guys, have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.